Hello everybody, welcome to IB Army, and again this is Jenny, and welcome to the third lesson of differentiation unit. And today we are going to talk about the product and quotient rules that will be used in differentiation. So what are those? Given by the IB formula booklet, the product rule is when you have two functions multiplied by together, which is u times v. When you have to differentiate the product of these two functions, it will become u prime times v plus u times v prime. And the quotient rule is when one function is divided by another one and you have to differentiate the quotient of these two functions, you're going to use u prime v minus uv prime divided by v squared. Again, this formula don't mean anything. The importance is we have to know how to use them. So we are going to jump into our problems today. And the first question is, find dy over dx when y equals to x squared plus 1 multiplied by x squared plus 2. It's obvious that we have two functions here because we have two x. So remember, when there are multiple x, you are going to use the product rule or quotient rule. And pause the video, use the formula, and try to figure it out. So in this case, first of all, we analyze the two functions. The first one is x squared plus 1, and the second one is x squared plus 2. And you differentiate each of them. The first one will become 2x, and the second one will become 2x as well. So the derivative of the product of these two functions, as we already knew using the formula, is the u prime v plus uv prime, and we just substitute the values in, and the answer will become 4x cubed plus 6x. It's very straightforward, and now we know how this formula can be actually applied in the questions. Then let's go to the next one. Find dy dx when y equals to x times 1 plus x squared to the power of 2. So again, when you see 2x, you know that you have to use the product rule. However, this time we can see that the second function, we have a square. That means that the derivative of this function has to be solved by using the chain rule that we talked about last lesson. So try to figure it out and pause the video. So first of all, the first step is always to define the two functions, and the derivative of the first function is 1. Of the second function is 4x times 1 plus x squared, and the third step, we use the formula again and combine them together, and the answer should be 1 plus x squared times 1 plus 5x squared. So if you don't remember how the chain rule works, we can recap in the second step of the second function. And it's basically that you have to keep differentiating until you differentiate to the smallest part of that function. And here we already get used to, and we know how to layer them out, and you always have to keep the x if you haven't differentiated until the last part. So now we know how the product rule works. Let's move on to the quotient rule. This question is, find dy over dx when y equals 2 x squared plus x divided by x squared plus 1. In this case, we see the two functions, but they are in the relationship of division, so we're going to use the quotient rule. Pause the video and try to use the formula to solve it. So in this case, we're doing the same thing. We define the functions for each first, and the second step is you differentiate each of them, and the third step is use the formula of quotient rule. As you already have u prime u, v prime v, you can solve it, and when you simplify it, I haven't simplified totally, but the answer should be negative x squared plus 4x plus 1 over x squared plus 1 to the power of 2. So it's not hard. You just have to define the two functions and find the derivative of each of them. Just substitute those values back to the formula. And that's it. And let's see our last question. Differentiate y equals 2x minus 1 divided by 3x plus 1 squared. Again, we have the integration of chain rule and quotient rule in this case, but it's still doable, right? So pause the video and try to figure it out. So same steps, same procedure. You always define the two functions and find the derivative of each of them, and then you substitute the values back into the formula, and you'll get answer of negative 6x plus 8 divided by 3x plus 1 cube. So again, you kind of have to use the chain rule for one of the functions. So chain rule is only the difference between chain rule and product and quotient rule is that product and quotient rules are for multiple functions or two functions specifically. But chain rule is that there's different layers in one function, and you have to use the formula to layer out and differentiate them. So that's the only difference. So in easy cases, for chain rule, there's only one x, but for product and quotient rule, there are multiple x, and that's it. So if you have any questions, please comment it. We are welcome to any question, and I hope it explains a little bit better for you to understand what product and quotient rule is. See you next time.